Well, hey everyone, and welcome to EnergieGal Meditations. My name is Lisa. Thanks for joining me today. We are going to unpack an empowering thought. I'm all about being empowered, coming out of victimhood mentality, because it is a pool that I swam in for so freaking long that now that I'm not in there, and when I find myself back there and I get right back out, man, I want to just shout from the rooftops. There's a different place and there's a different way that you can live. But it takes courage, I'll tell you that. First of all, it takes curiosity. It takes compassion, because when you find out how you've been living and that it is nobody else's fault and nobody else to blame, and you come out of that blaming, you got to stand on your own 2 feet, and oh my goodness, it's a lot. And then of course it takes a lot of courage and to say I'm going to do things differently. Let me tell you about a show I watched yesterday. So it was with oh God, what's his first name? Something McCarthy. Andrew McCarthy. And it was, I'm a child of the 60s, and I was born in the 60s, though I should have been born in the 40s and then been a teenager or young 20s in the 60s, because I love that era. I would have gone to Woodstock in a heartbeat. But anyway, so I'm a child of the 70s. And so in the 80s were this brat pack. Okay, not the Rat Pack, of the Brat Pack, and it was like Demi Moore, Andrew McCarthy, Rob Lowe, Judd Hirsch, Molly Ringwald. Oh my God, what are some of the other ones? Emilio Estevez. So what this movie was about was a small documentary that Andrew McCarthy spearheaded. And he basically unpacks to the listeners, the viewers, that he was so upset because when this group of people, these group of actors who did quite a few movies together, were dubbed the Brat Pack by this particular journalist, it crashed their world. All of them were absolutely devastated by being called brats. And he said it completely changed the trajectory of his entire career and life. And he kind of felt like it was time for some retribution. It had been about 30 years. I think he's 59 now. And it happened, he said, when he was in his young 20s. So he's unpacking to the viewer how he wants to contact each of the others in the Brat Pack. He had not spoken with them in 30 years. 30 years they disbanded, specific because of this Brat Pack moniker and how it upset all of them so much. And so it goes on, and he ends up talking with almost all of them. Molly Ringwald said, I want to keep it in the past, I don't want to talk about it. And Judd Hirsch just never responded to his number of calls. But all the other ones did respond to him. It was very interesting how each of them had a conversation with him around this very unfair article that was written by this journalist who he also met with, and how it changed the trajectory, and how, in Andrew McCarthy's own words, he said, I felt like I had lost control of my life. I had lost control of my career and my life because of this one article that this journalist wrote about me. It was not fair. Okay, so he ends up talking with each of them, and each of them have a little different way that they have integrated this particular situation that happened. Rob Lowe and Demi Moore both kind of came up with this. It's only a bad thing if you give it the narrative that it was bad. You could also just say, hey, this was part of being an actor at that time. The journalist, maybe there was a modicum of truth. Maybe we were kind of bratty. Maybe we were kind of privileged. But not all of what he said was true. we don't have to give any more energy or truth or attention to that. We can continue on knowing in our hearts that we know the truth of who we are. And it doesn't have to affect us. You could tell that with Andrew, he's like, yeah, but it wasn't fair. And both of them were like, yeah, but it happened. So at some point, you need to get past whether it was fair or not fair and move on. And if you think about it, the two of them have had incredible careers going on. Andrew said, I was stalled. I could not get past it. And I still am really struggling with feeling like, either I want some kind of vengeance or I want some kind of retribution. So he ends up meeting with the journalist who wrote it. And the journalist said, yeah, maybe there's some things that were kind of mean and underhanded, but you guys were adults. So I wouldn't have written it to about a 12-year-old. I was writing it about young adults, and I thought that you guys could handle it. And Andrew said, but it wasn't nice. Can you admit that it wasn't nice? And the journalist said, yeah, I guess I could probably admit it wasn't the kindest thing, but it did kind of create a lot of attention around you. And might I add, it may have actually helped your career. And Andrew was like, yeah, well, I don't think that was, worth it. And the guy goes, yep, there was definitely some collateral damage. And Andrew was like, so I'm collateral damage. He really struggled to make sense of things. And I think that that's where we need to understand in our lives that we are the collateral damage of other people. Hurt people hurt people. It's just the human condition. And you can either say, I'm going to go back to that person and they need to apologize to me and explain to me why they did what they did, which they won't be able to explain to you because people who are sane and healthy don't hurt other people. Hurt people hurt people. So what you'd have to do is you have to go back to the person who hurt that person who hurt you, which then you'd have to go back to the person who hurt them, who hurt them, who hurt them. And where does it end? When do you finally just say, it stops here? I'm going to stand on my own 2 feet. I'm going to say, what happened was incredibly hurtful. But I've got 2 choices here. I can either stay swimming in bitterness, in unfairness, in trying to figure it out. Or I can say, I'm going to come down into my heart space. I'm going to realize that the human condition is that we hurt each other. Knowingly and unknowingly. I've done it myself. Far be it of me to say I've never hurt anybody. So I too have meted out a lot of unfair things to other people. And I hope that they can forgive me. And I'm going to do the best I can to forgive myself. And in a place of forgiving myself and realizing, wow, I hurt somebody. Let me then extend that forgiveness to somebody else. Now, I know what you're going to say. You may say, yeah, but like that reporter was not sorry for what he did. We don't forgive because somebody else is sorry and they apologize to us. We forgive because it helps us be free. Andrew McCarthy, at the very end of the interview, you could think, okay, maybe he came to some kind of peace. And as they go to stand up, he turns to the guy and goes, yeah, but what you did wasn't. He still had not integrated the fact that shit happens. It is what it is, but it can be what you make of it. And if you continue to carry the burden, and it is a heavy burden of suffering because you were done wrong, you will then continue to live a life where you remember every day in and out how done wrong you were. And life will go on around you. And you will not be a part of it. Because you'll still be living in the past. Consciously or unconsciously, subconsciously. Or you can do what Rob Lowe, Demi Moore said, and they said, it happened, it definitely hurt. We acknowledged that it hurt. We acknowledged that there was maybe something that we could have gleaned from it as well. We had the opportunity to rise above and forgive, to be the phoenix rising from the ashes and say, that doesn't define me. That moniker that somebody else gave me, that doesn't define me. I don't have to go Demi Moore, oh, I'm part of the Brat Pack. Rob Lowe, part of the Brat Pack. I don't have to include that on my resume. I don't have to. Just like you and I don't have to include, oh yeah, that's my story. I was beat up, I was divorced, I was cheated on, I was told awful things, I was manipulated and controlled, I was systematically told my hopes and my dreams don't matter. You can continue that as your story. You have every opportunity to do that. You have the freedom to do that. But you also have the freedom to choose a different way, to walk down a different path. Out of victimhood mentality, out of lack mentality, out of recalling the past mentality. And saying, that doesn't have to define me. It was an experience I had, but it doesn't have to define me. I'll sift it. If there is any little shred or sparkle of gold in there, I'll find it, and I'm going to toss the rest. I'll integrate the rest. I'll breathe through the rest of it. Where is the opportunity here? Where is the opportunity? I'm going to link after this video, a video that's received a lot of views, and it's my most popular video to date, and it's all about this particular topic, and a book that I read that has a very interesting passage, and people loved it. So I'll link that below, because if you're brave enough to have gotten to this point in the video and you're like, I want that, listen to the next video also, and it will continue to help you to realize the people around you that have hurt you, if you can re-story it, if you can re-perspective and re-narrate who they are in your life, they have not been your perpetrators. They have been your awakeners. They have been your stepping stones. They have been the ones who've created you to be someone who is an overcomer, someone who's victorious, triumphant, strong. You think you get strong without going to the gym? It doesn't happen that way. You get strong because you go to the gym, you shred the muscles, you rip them, you eat your protein, amino acids, you give a little bit of time, and then you go back to the gym and you keep pumping it. And that's life. You go through experiences that shred your muscles, and then you integrate and you take good care of yourself. Come into forgiveness, self-forgiveness, compassion, awareness, continued awakening to the human condition and who you are. And then guess what? You jump right back into life, and it'll probably punch you in the face again. But this time you know what to do. You take good care of yourself. You get into the land of forgiveness. You find your peace again. And then guess what? You go back out into the world. But you don't go back out into the world the same person. You go back out stronger. You go back out with a message. You go back out holding a frequency. I'm telling you, right now it is January 26th of 2025, and we are in the middle of the biggest shift in consciousness that has ever happened. We are coming into embodying forgiveness like we have never experienced before. That's the piece of the pie that the God Spark wants to be eating now. That is the aspect of isness that the all desires to experience now. Forgiveness. All I can say is, are you willing? Because as soon as you are willing, things will start unpacking for you. If you say, I'm willing to come out of victimhood mentality. I'm willing. I want to come into deep and utter, profound forgiveness, which I know is a journey. It's not a concept. It's a piece of the pie that you eat. It's more than idea. It is something that you are. And it is so freaking empowering. I wouldn't change a damn thing. It's a very bold statement. I wouldn't change a thing. I look at the people in my life and I think, thanks, man. Thank you. I feel like I'm taking an Academy Award. Thank you. To the times my stepmother beat the shit out of me. Thank you to the times that my dad ignored it. Thank you to that pervert. I know these are bold things. It's very offensive, isn't it? But they created me, and you know what? I'm a hot fucking shit. I'm awesome, and I would not be who I am without them. Now, some of you are saying, well, how do you know that? I don't, but this is the life that I have. So lemons make lemonade. This is the choice I have. Sit and be pissed off that I have lemons, or squeeze them and make some lemonade. The world is thirsty. What will you do with the lemons that you have, my friend? Time is of the essence. In this world we live in now, we're still in time. What will you do with this one wild and precious life? What will you do with it? Hey, if you're still here, this is a message you wanted to hear. Give me some love, would ya? Subscribe, like, comment, share. I appreciate you. I appreciate your presence. I appreciate you with your lemons making lemonade. You're changing the world. You're changing the world. Thank you for that. Alrighty, check my website for the other things that I have to offer. I love you guys. I love you so much. Remember, let there be peace in the world. And let me remember, it begins within me. Take care.